dream from being a little boy was to be in a big fat hit Broadway show. That was my ultimate goal. So I get cast in 1971 in Frank Merriwell. And in the neighborhood, all around me, this was the glory days of Broadway. So around the neighborhood theaters were the likes of 1776, No No Nanette, Fiddler on the Roof, Follies Coming, I mean, all the big legendary shows. So come opening night, Frank Merriwell, I had a solo at 8 years old on Broadway. How cool is that? So I'm at the Longacre Theater, down front center, 1,000 people in the dark in front of me. I start singing my song, and pieces of the set started falling down. I kid you not, that is exactly what happened. But I don't see a set here, so I think I'm safe. So, jump, 10 years later. Well, I will tell you, Frank Merriwell, we closed opening night. When the sets fell down, the show fell down. So 7 previews, 1 performance. Jump, 10 years later, I get cast in the most anticipated, incredibly, wildly thrilling piece of theater that everybody thinks is going to happen for the 1980s. Directed by the legendary Harold Prince, and music and lyrics by the one and only Stephen Sondheim. I get cast in the original Broadway company of Merrily We Roll Along. 48 previews, 2 weeks we close. So after that, I got cast in another show that closed out of town before we even made it to Broadway. So I am still waiting for my big hit Broadway show. But the reason I bring all of this up is because through the years, and through life, and through disappointment, it's my spirituality, and it's my sense of optimism and hope that gets me through. And several years ago, my dear friend Paul came into my life and taught me a lot about myself and the unity message. And it's very appropriate that what I'm going to do for you right now is recreate that very song that I did 47 years ago on Broadway, because it's about positive and it's about hope, and it's for you. Don't turn his picture to the wall, my friends, not till you're certain how the story ends. Though we all hate this confusion, we shouldn't just jump to the closest conclusion. Don't speak his name behind a frown so huge. Yesterday's friend is not this morning's Scrooge. The times he helped us are too great to recall. So don't turn his picture to the. Don't be downhearted when gloomy days come. Look for the happiness ahead. Good times get coming the moment you hum. So hum along and gloom is dead. A cup of sunshine you can borrow straight from tomorrow. Don't mind today's bad news, just substitute your favorite wishes for the future. Start contemplating what's around the next bend. Fame may be waiting, a fortune, a friend. Take troubles in your stride. Life has a pretty side. Look for the happiness ahead. Be optimistic, don't leave it to fate. It's realistic to say life is great. Take troubles in your stride. Life has a pretty side. Look for the happiness, not one iota less. Soon you will find success, changing each note a yes.
should I embrace all of God's good? Whatever we're here to do, we're here to do it with joy, with love, with excitement. And your Broadway show's good. Well, they keep coming. But eventually one will run. That's the way it works in life. Gary's been here for a couple of days now. We've been chatting about being here in D.C. and letting my car go. And he said, "Do you miss your car?" I said, "No." He said, "Did you name your car?" "No." My car got me around. But as you know, here in D.C., you drive around looking for a parking space, and then I drive back home and I walk or take the metro. So I said, I might as well let it go. So I did that. But I was thinking about the other day about driving in New York, and I shared my car with a friend because it's so expensive that we share expenses for the car. And I would take the car and drive from New York to Cape Cod every summer, and I really enjoyed my time. And then I'd drive up to New Hampshire to see my family, and then back to New York. So I love to listen to NPR on the way to the Cape, along with music and books on CD and all that. So I have a grand time traveling around with all my information there. Well, I wanted to hear NPR that day, and I was listening to the radio, and I was finding the station, and I knew it was on a certain station, and it wasn't there. And I kept looking for it and getting angry because I couldn't find it. I just couldn't look, and so I started all over again. I was really upset. I said, this is not a good way to begin my holiday, my vacation. And so I went within with my eyes open. I was driving. I didn't close my eyes to go within. You can go within just kind of looking ahead. And I said, God, what's going on here? And I heard very clearly, you're on the wrong track. And I said, what? And I looked, and it was on AM, and it should have been on FM. I went, well, that's silly. And so I hit FM, and the preset brought it right to NPR, and I had my all things considered and everything that I wanted. And I started laughing, and I started thinking about it, how easy it is to get frustrated, how easy it is to get upset, and even angry because of what is not happening at the moment. I mean, a simple thing like not being able to find NPR just made me cranky and really almost angry. I'm not getting what I desire in life. Family, friends, the radio, Congress, whatever it might be. Because they aren't cooperating with me. If we just cooperate, my life would be happy. And stop ruining my vacation because I can't find NPR on the station. Where the whole time, I wasn't cooperating with it. I was the one who was not in alignment with where I needed to be. There's a principle at work with these radio things. You have two bands. You've got AM and you've got FM. I was looking for my program on another frequency. I was ignorantly focusing my attention on a level that didn't have what I was looking for. It didn't have what I desired. It wasn't the radio punishing me. It wasn't withholding NPR from me. It wasn't ruining my vacation from the very beginning. It just didn't work with where I was, and I was out of alignment with the principle of AM, FM. And it's the same with life. It's the same with God. How often do I get frustrated and angry that God isn't giving me what I've been praying for? We're doing all the spiritual work, coming on Sunday morning to Unity, reading these books, only to continue to be challenged by the healing process that doesn't seem to show up the way that I want it to. Or the wonderful relationship I've been praying for 35 years. Or the new job. Or the Broadway show. Or what I've heard is mine already. The real challenge isn't God withholding it. The problem isn't that I'm not worthy to receive it. Or that I haven't said the right affirmation in the right way. Or that I haven't worked hard enough, which nobody ever tells you what is enough. The real challenge is being on a different track, is being on a different wavelength than the good that I'm looking to have in my life. It's that simple. True story, a woman from New England was going for a week's vacation to a Florida campground. But she was concerned about the accommodation. She said, I'm getting older and I want to make sure everything is where I need it to be. She was really most concerned about the toilet facilities. But being a proper New Englander, or proper New Englander, you say, she felt it was unseemly to write toilet. So she wrote BC for bathroom commode. So she wrote to the campground, does your campground have a BC? And the campground owner went, what's a BC? And so he showed the letter to the staff members. They didn't know. And finally one person said, oh, BC, that means Baptist Church. She wants to know if there's a Baptist church on the ground. So the owner sat down, and this is a true letter, this actually happened. He wrote back to her, dear madam, I'm sorry about the delay in answering your letter, but I'm pleased to inform you that the BC is located just 9 miles north. And it has seating for 250 people. I admit it's quite a distance away if you're in the habit of going regularly, but no doubt you'll be pleased to know that a number of people here from the campground take a lunch and make a day of it. Last time my wife and I went was 6 years ago, and it was so crowded that we had to stand up the whole time we were there. There's a supper plan to raise money to buy more seats. They're going to hold it in the basement of the BC. If you decide to go to the campground, perhaps I could go with you the first time. Sit with you and introduce you to all the folks. Remember, this is a friendly community. Different wavelengths indeed. I believe that most problems that we have in life is because of communication. Because I'm not being clear, even within myself, about what it is that I'm looking for, what I'm expecting in my life. From each other, from myself, or from the universe. We know what we want. We have a feeling what we want. I mean, sometimes even in counseling, I'll say to people, what do you want in life? I just want to be happy. What? Well, what does that look like? You know, just happy. As Edwin James said, you wouldn't go online to Amazon.com and say, send me what you think I'd like. And then you end up getting a nightie, and John says, I didn't want a nightie. I wanted a pair of boots. Well, why didn't you ask? Well, you know, they should know. That's what we think about the universe. The universe should know, and I shouldn't have to ask for it. But we do. We have to get clear. We have to get really clear about what it is that we're looking for in life. The cartoonist Rube Goldberg told of being on a cruise ship a number of years ago. He was assigned to a table at meals with a Frenchman who spoke no English and he spoke no French. Every evening, the Frenchman would come to the table, he would bow and say, bon appetit. Goldberg would rise, bow, and say, Goldberg. This went on for about 3 or 4 nights. He was mentioning to a friend on the ship how odd it was to have this French guy tell him every night his name was Bon Appetit, and then he would tell him over and over again what his name was. He said, is that a French custom? And the French said, no. The guy said, no, he's French. He was saying, you know, good, have a good meal. And Goldberg said, oh, I feel so stupid. I have to correct that. So that evening, Goldberg came to the table late, and the Frenchman was already there. Goldberg bowed and said, Bon Appetit. And the Frenchman got up and bowed and said, Goldberg. This actually happened a few years ago. I actually read this in the New York Times. A man was crossing the street and he glanced over at the car at the light, and the guy's tire was flat. He said, roll down your window. And the driver rolled the window down, and the guy says, you have a flat tire. And he went, oh, thank you. And he pulled over to the side, and he got out, and he looked at the tire, and he looked at the guy and said, well, thank you. He said, aren't you the Samaritan? And the guy's face turned bright red. And he got really angry. He said, that's what I get for trying to help you, insulted, and he punched the guy. And they got into a brawl. And they both ended up in the hospital. Because the guy said to him, aren't you a Samaritan? He thought he was being insulted. Different wavelengths. Samaritan, everybody knows what a Samaritan is. Well, apparently not. The man thought it was being something mean. Again, wrong dial. Wrong frequency. On a spiritual level, we get the wrong message all the time because we're not tuned into God's station. We're not tuned into the universal energy. We're tuning into somebody else's opinion. We're tuning into what the news said we need to get excited or upset about. We're tuned into what this book or this magazine or this friend has to say about where you should be and what you should be thinking about. Wayne Dyer, in his book, There's a Spiritual Solution to Every Problem, talks about vibrations and how we mainly live our lives, most of us, on a very low frequency. of energy. We schlep our way, wonderful New York word, we schlep our way through life with very little energy, with very little passion or joy or excitement or creativity during the day. As we live our lives day by day on this slow vibratory rate, we're creating challenges for ourselves. It's not the universe, it's nobody outside of myself. It's my low rate of energy that is creating a life of low intensity. We're living life in a heavy, uninterested, joyless kind of way. We're actually telling the universe, this is the kind of life I want. You know, our unity teachings say what I think, what I feel, what I say all day, and the actions I take are the life that I have, and it's the life I'm telling. The energy around me is the one that I want. So I end up with a life that is low energy, dull, cranky, tired, unhappy, and non-creative. And maybe creating a situation in my body that is chronically unwell, prosperity challenged, and argumentative with everybody around me. We all know people like that, don't we? Nobody here is like that at all. But we all know people like that. When we're out of alignment with the divine energy that is within us and around us, we're not able to tune into God's love, joy, and strength easily because God is operating here and we're operating here. We're looking down saying, I don't know why my life isn't working, and God's saying, come on up, the weather's fine up here. You can see everything from here and it's real exciting. But we keep ourselves down here where we can't access the fullness of God's good. And then we wonder why the good seems to be limited or even seemingly totally unavailable to me. It's a big leap from going half dead to fully alive. A minister once did a sermon on how we have to make an effort to move closer to God, rather than waiting for God to make the first move. A congregant came up to him after the service, and she was very upset with him. She told the minister, I don't want to get close to God. She said, I just want to go over to a corner and sneak into heaven quietly. I don't want to be a saint, but I don't want to go to hell. The minister said, this is very strange. Could you tell me why you feel this way? She said, when I was in the 9th grade, I set my heart on finishing high school with straight C's. She said, and I did. She said, if you fail, they make you repeat. And I just wanted to get out of there. But if you start making A's, people begin to expect things out of you. It's the same with God. If you're bad, you'll go to hell, but if you're too good, he'll send you to India, and I don't want that either. A lot of us feel like, oh my gosh, if I'm really too good, then the universe, then God's going to notice and send me somewhere I don't want to go. When I had my spiritual awakening back in '84, I heard God say to me, you're going to be doing my work. And I said, no way, I'm not going to go to India. I'm not going to go to Alabama. I ended up in Missouri for 4 years, but that's another thing altogether. We keep ourselves in bondage by misunderstanding what God's will is for us. We get so afraid of God's will. Oh, God's going to make me a nun if I go in that direction. So I just want to sneak. I want to be in the corner. Don't bother me, and let me go into heaven just under the radar. That's not the way this works. What is God's will for us? In unity, we know God's will is for the highest and the best. It's for what makes you happy. It's for what you desire in life. Nobody made me become a minister. It was like I was just awakened to the truth. Oh, this is what I'm here to do. And I got so excited about it that I was actually able to live in Missouri for 4 years, and knowing I was going to be leaving Missouri was wonderful. But I knew that it was part of the journey that I was on. It was not a permanent thing at all. We're so afraid of our power. We're so afraid of our divinity, our light, our joy. We're so afraid of our astonishing potential that we just assume God didn't point us out and make us do something that would take us out of our discomfort zone. How do you think it would feel? Just imagine for a moment. How would it feel if every day you were happy? If you were creative, if you were healthy, there was no pain. Or maybe just a little ache, just to remind us we're alive once in a while. Surrounded by wonderfully creative, loving individuals, in a flow of never-ending prosperity that you say, I don't have to worry about this showing up, it just is. Would that work for you? Would that be a good life? For 5 of you, yes. The others are meditating on it. That's good. Truth be told, most of us on the planet would be terrified of that. We wouldn't know what to do if life was a joyful adventure. There are some people, we all know them, that unless they're arguing, unless they're creating tension, unless they're making chaos like something we all know very well, they don't know what to do. They don't know what would happen if life was a joyful adventure every single day. Because we really don't quite believe yet that we deserve to be totally happy, healthy, prosperous, in love. If we did, in our heart of hearts, we would be living that life. A pastor was counseling a woman, and he asked her to write 10 statements beginning with I am. She wrote, I am a poor mother, I am a disappointment to my parents, I am overweight, I am unhappy, I am divorced. The pastor said, I didn't ask you to write 10 negative things. Come on, name 10 good things about yourself. Took her a couple of minutes, and she finally wrote, I try to be a good mother, I try to keep a clean house, I try to be happy, I try to make a good marriage. You see how hard it is for some people to get into a space where we are children of God and we deserve the good. I am healthy, I am prosperous, I am successful, I am creative, I am loving, and I am loved. It's hard for us to see how divine we are when we look in the mirror and we see what we see. It's hard sometimes to see ourselves the way the universe, the way divine mind sees us, which is perfect, which is powerful, because we're creations of spirit. If God is good, I am good. That's what we teach in unity. As human beings living in a three-dimensional world, we've learned from other people, we've learned from the planet, I'm not good enough yet. I might not ever be good enough to have the good. Everybody else has it good. I guess God doesn't care for me. Gary and I have a mutual friend, and this friend hasn't worked for a long time, and he's always jetting off to Hawaii, to Paris, to London. He's not making any money. We look at each other and go, how does he do that? And one day he does it because he wants to. Because he doesn't think that or believe that there's anything blocking that from happening. So he just says yes, and they go. Well, how many air miles does this man have that he does that? But he told me he ran out of air miles. And he just keeps going because he desires it, because that's his joy. We think I wouldn't be in this financial mess, I wouldn't be experiencing chronic health issues, my husband wouldn't have left me to raise the kids alone, my child wouldn't have died before I did, if God loved me. If God loved me as much as this guy who can fly everywhere on the planet without money. Where was God when your spouse left you and you thought everything was great? Where was God when your child was suffering like that and the prayer didn't seem to work in the way we needed it to? The challenges we face in life isn't that we have challenges in life. We get that, right? We're always going to have challenges because we're on the planet. A math problem doesn't mean it's a problem to solve, because a problem always needs an answer. The one and only real problem I have is that I think I can solve it with my brain power. I think I can solve it by trying to figure it out without the love, guidance, and direction of divine love and wisdom within me. God is right where you are now, even if you're in debt. God is right within you now in your healing work. God is with you and has always been with you, even when you thought as a child you were abandoned and totally alone on the planet. Where was God when your loved one made transition within him or her and you and everybody who loved that person? But I experience a challenge in life, and I think over and over and over again, I'm going to solve this by calling this expert, by calling this person, by reading a book, getting that CD, going to that workshop, reasoning it out in my head. Or just by pulling up my bootstraps and doing it. Your unique and right answer is not in pulling up your bootstraps and just doing it. It may be part of it. It's not in the book, it's not in the lecture, it's not on Sunday morning, it's within you, and what we're doing here is spark plugging it. Is hoping that you go, okay, it is within me. Spirit has had it within me the whole time. I always like to check out what my elder brother and teacher Jesus says about these things, because he's always spot on. He went to a different broadband. Whenever he went into prayer, what did he do? Anybody remember? He looked up. He didn't look to heaven, he just looked away from the situation. He looked away from the situation, he said, I give thanks always that you hear me, God. And it's already taken care of. He was simply the facilitator of this divine energy moving through him. He didn't look at the appearance and feel hopeless or distressed. He didn't tune into radio station WHY or WOE. He turned within, he tuned within gratefully, joyfully, expectantly, and went to station WOW. Oh, wow. God is here, God is at work. I myself know nothing, he said. I don't know anything until it's revealed by Spirit within what to do. Because I don't have that knowledge. Here's that part of the iceberg we keep looking at, and here's the rest of it. We don't know what's underneath all that. We just don't have that knowledge in these forms at the moment. Our brother was always grateful and totally expecting the power of God to come forth, but he had to rise up to that level. He had to rise up in joy and in love. As our affirmation this morning says, with joy and gratitude, I embrace all of God's good. If I'm not grateful in advance, it's not going to show up. If I'm not joyful in advance, it's not going to show up. We have to act as if it is already at work, and then it shows up, because we tell the universe, this is the way I know it is. And that's the secret to experiencing all of the good that God has for us. If we've been living at a low level of expectation of the good appearing in our lives, it can't show up because we're not on that broadband. Like that woman trying to be good, or trying to find healing, trying to be a good spouse, trying to make enough money, trying to make life work is not working. It's trying. It's tiring. And I can't do it that way. It never has worked for me that way. In the 63 years I've been here, it's never worked that way. As we all know, we either do something or we're not doing it. We don't try. If we make an effort and it doesn't work, then we do it again, or we do it in a different way that Spirit is revealing how to do it. We have to change. Now I have to admit, I haven't the foggiest notion of how this is going to work. Of how the healing will take place, or how the rent money will come, or how to heal the marriage, or how to get my friend out of depression. But God does. All knowledge is within. And Spirit knows how to do this. My work, then, is to raise my energy, to feel grateful, to feel excited, to feel passionate, to be creative, to give thanks now, to get excited now. Wow. Wow, this is exciting. If you got the idea, that means God has given it to you, and I need to move forward now. How's this going to work? What do I need to do? My work is to have faith. Give myself, as we say here, a faith lift. Feel it. Enjoy it. To feel in awe that divine intelligence is within me and in those I love. Knows exactly what to do and how to do it, and will reveal it. And what I need to do next, as I've shared with you, Eric Butterworth had only one thing on his desk. It was a sign that said, pray and move your feet. What am I receiving, and now what do I do about it? Get going. Move on it. If you have a dream that hasn't come true yet, your job is to get excited about it. That's all your job is. Oh, I can't wait to see how God's got this. Okay, God, what do I do today? Maybe it's just to change your resume. Maybe it's to go meet somebody. Maybe it's just to go have lunch. You don't know. If you receive it, go, all right, let's just see what's going to show up. Let's see what's going to happen. Your job is to communicate with God on the level that God is living. Yes, I am ready, awake, alert, as our wonderful affirmation goes. I am alive, alert, awake, and enthusiastic about my life. My body knows it, my body shows it. If we're not waking up with that energy, then we're starting down here. We have to climb up. We need to be grateful that with God, everything is possible. Not only possible, but with God, everything is inevitable. It's inevitable when I let it go and say, okay, God, I'm open and receptive. My way isn't working. What's your way? How committed are you to your dream? Quit listening to experts. They do not know you. The experts said the Beatles don't have a good sound. They should never record. They said Beethoven couldn't write music well. They said Edison was too stupid to finish school. They said Fred Astaire could only dance a little. Experts said when trains were invented that traveling over 15 miles an hour would give passengers nosebleeds. And that when they go through the tunnel, they would suffocate and die. In 1881, the New York YMCA announced typing lessons for women. The experts protested on the grounds that the female constitution would crack under such strain as typing. Childbirth, keeping house, washing, the kids, all fine, but typing, forget about it. Whatever God is calling you to do, to have, to experience in your life, your work is to meet God where God is. Right here. Lift your vision. Lift your energy. Say, yes, this is possible because I got that divine idea from God. I want you to take a breath. Close your eyes. What is it that hasn't worked in your life yet? Picture it. It isn't working because you tried to work it. Let it go. This isn't your work. This is God's work. My job is to say, yes, I'm thankful, I'm grateful, I'm joyful. I can't wait to see what God is revealing to me about this. As Einstein said, the level of consciousness that God is here is not going to fix it. It's not going to have the answer. The answer is always God. Get excited, get thrilled, feel like it's Christmas. A new idea, a new attitude. Tune into God's joyful broadband. Take a breath in. Breathe out. Breathe in one more time. As we go into meditation time, I invite you to sing along with us or simply listen to the words. Lead me to the light. Lead me to the light. Help me to make it through. Lead me to the light.